That's what people want to know, how to get motivated.
Well, it's something that causes a person to act in a certain way or do a certain thing.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
That's motivation.
So if someone performs an action,
yeah,
or behaves in a certain manner, or shows a certain behaviour, or the method in which they conduct themselves, that is how someone would act. And something that causes you to act is motivation.
Oh, that's right.
Whoops! Well, I'm Nikki and this is Con.
Hi! Well, today's...
Actually, it's the other way around. I'm Con and that's Nikki.
Oh, I wasn't really paying attention.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry. Okay, now today's topic is motivation, okay? Where do you get it? How do you find it? How do you keep it?
What is it?
What is it? All those things, and we're going to cover that today so we can help you achieve all the things that you are striving for, okay? Because you need to be motivated so you can achieve all those goals.
Yeah, now, as you know from our last discussion, we did discuss a lot of things, and one of the things we did touch on was the fact that we would eventually be talking today in particular about motivation and how to get it, in particular how to get it. So how does someone get motivated? Well, can I just ask you, like, what is the most common thing you hear about motivation from people?
Oh, most people say, oh, I can't get motivated, I'm just not motivated. You know, that the thing that they're lacking most in their lives is motivation.
Okay, so someone's lacking motivation.
Yes.
So what would they have if they weren't lacking it?
Oh, if they weren't lacking it, they'd be motivated. So
they'd have a life.
They'd have a life, they'd be achieving their goals, they'd be successful, they'd be moving forward.
Okay, do you reckon someone that has motivation is uncertain about what they want?
No, I think someone that's motivated knows what they want, knows why they want it, and they're moving towards it.
Right, so the answer to my question was?
No.
No. No what? So
the answer is someone that is motivated knows where they're going.
Well, they have a fair idea as to what they want, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they can see it in their eye, maybe in their head. They can. They've seen it in a magazine. They can actually recognise it. In other words,
they can tell you what it is.
That they know what they want, right? And if you like a lot of things, well, that's not really a good thing, because liking is simply close to wanting. And you can like a lot of things, but that's an excuse to not like it later, and that gives you the excuse to get rid of it.
Yes.
As we say, how do you know what you want if you don't already have it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you like things, you're not necessarily going to actually do that. If you want something, guess what? You're going to move out any obstacles in your way to go and get it.
Yeah.
So
if we just look at the word motivate or motivation, right? Motive is what?
What's a reason?
A reason.
A reason.
Right. So it's assuming that if someone's motivated, they've got reasons to do something.
That's right. They've got reasons to act. That is motivation.
Right. But it's not until you act. So you can have all the reasons in the world, but unless you take that step, you're not motivated. Right? You are sitting there contemplating about what you like and what you dislike, but you really don't know what you want. But until the moment comes when you actually take that first step and act, or change your behavior, or as I said, perform an actual action, like physically do it, or behave in a certain way. So you change yourself in a certain way. You dress a certain way to try and deliver a certain message. You speak a certain way because you're trying to, get across to certain people. In other words, you're trying to express yourself and make yourself understood. Or just generally speaking, the way you conduct yourself. So for example, if you went to a church, you might not sort of go there in your swimming costume. You probably wouldn't. But today they probably would. But generally speaking, you'd have to conduct yourself in a certain way. There's a certain level of our respect. So let's not misunderstand that motivation is something that causes a person to act.
It's the reason.
It's the action.
It's the
reason. It's the action after you have the reason.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So how can you get motivated if you haven't acted? Right. Now, how do you act? How do you act or take the first step if you have no reason? It's not going to happen.
No. You have to find the reason. But let's be clear about this. I think most people actually have their reason. They don't want to believe it, but they have their reasons. So you just got to open your eyes, look for it, find it, because it's not going to come and get you. You already know what the reason is, that you need to lose weight or you need to become healthier, whatever it is that you need to change in your life. You know the reasons why. But sometimes we discard that because we don't want to go there. What you need to do is look at the reasons, and that will be your motivation within itself.
However, let's say there's something you don't want to do. And I come across you and I say, now listen, how about if I gave you $1.50? You do what Nikki does, and you'd laugh at that. But let's say I said, how about if I gave you $150?
They're getting warmer.
Well, you'd probably laugh at that too. Let's say I gave you $150,000.
Well, you might be highly motivated
Yeah,
by
you're
that
getting
stage.
motivated.
Yeah.
Are you the sort of person that gets motivated by money? Let's say it's $1.5 million.
Yes.
Let's just say I asked you to do something that you would never do. But now it's $10.5 million.
Well,
Are you thinking about it?
yeah, you are. Of course you're thinking about it.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you think about things in that fashion, in other words, if it takes that for you to start thinking about it, you are what we call extrinsically motivated, right? In other words, you do it for a reward, you do it for a prize, or you do it for fear of punishment. So some people are fearful, so because of the punishment that they might get or the fine they might receive, they might be motivated to do something. Hence, fines when you do something wrong, okay? So if you are we're losing off the screen, honey.
Oh.
That's better. You're a bit close now. Because if you go, it's not going to be the ConikiTV show anymore. It'll be the and it'll stop there.
Sorry.
We need you in this, okay? All right, you back
Okay,
again?
yeah, I'm back again.
Good.
Okay.
So what we're just while you're away, we're talking
about extrinsic. I was
extrinsic.
listening to
Oh, good.
everything you said.
Anyway.
Yes, motivating yourself by a prize.
If we can buy you via a prize, or if your motivation is bought, in other words, if you sell out, if you exchange something for money, what are you?
Oh.
How about if something you don't want to do? What are you then? How much self-esteem must you have to steep to such a low level? How long can you keep that up for? The reality is, when you do something that you truly don't want to do, but you are bought, or you sell your soul in a way, purely because of a reward, the benefit you will get, or the reward you will get, will be substantial. There's no doubt about it. But it will be had. And then, for you to get the same sort of feeling,
You have to have another one.
you got to have another
There's
one.
more. There's more.
But you can't keep that up. Like if you, for example, let's say you want to be the best in the world at something. What happens when you become the best in the world?
Well, that's right.
How about the person that's hungry, hungrier than you, trying to climb that mountain to beat you when you're already there? You're there. Your struggle now is to stay there. My struggle is to get on top of you and knock you down, because I want to be the biggest and the best. How long can you stay there? Is it arguable? Are you better at chasing or better at being chased? Think about that for a sec. A man once said, it's like, I'm the wolf on the top of the hill, or the lion on the top of the hill. I'm the king of the castle. I'm the dirty rascal, right? And there's younger lions at the bottom of the hill, okay? They want to be top dog. Well, they're hungry, okay? They eventually will come up and challenge me or the king of the castle for that position, okay? Now, when that happens, is it harder for me when I'm not hungry? I haven't got the motivation to eat, right? I'm not hungry, I'm satisfied. Is my motivation to, protect my, heel going to be greater than or less than the lion that's trying to come up there because he's hungry, he wants to eat?
His motivation is obviously going to be.
Yeah. Well, I reckon if you're doing the chasing, right, and you really need it, it's going to be easier for you to stay
Yeah, the
motivated.
motivation will be greater. That's right.
So,
That's right.
so what
So
would
that
you have to
was-
say about extrinsic motivation then?
Well, it might be fulfilling for the very short term, but in the long term, it's not going to be satisfying because you're going to be looking for the next trophy, the next prize. So it's not maintainable.
And,
Yes.
and what happens when you've got all the trophies and all the prizes?
Well, what's left after that?
Just you.
Just you.
Just
That's
you.
right.
Yeah. So what motivates you when you have everything? It's got to be intrinsic motivation. That's the opposite, right?
So there are only two types, aren't there?
Well,
Intrinsic and
I
extrinsic.
reckon
Really, basically, they fall into those two.
I reckon you could have a couple, but really at the end of the day, they still balance up, as you said, into two types. And so extrinsic comes from outside you. It's a reward, money, or it's a threat of punishment. You can be motivated extrinsically to do stuff. Intrinsic motivation comes from within inside. It's a feeling. It makes you feel good. And when you feel good, that is addictive.
Oh, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah.
If you feel good about yourself.
So you have to be driven by an interest or an enjoyment or something that makes you feel good to be intrinsically motivated. Now that is something that you can sustain, because if you find something that you take pride and enjoyment in, and it really gives you a lot of pride and enjoyment, you just can keep on doing it. But when you're doing something for the reward, once you got it, it's no longer exciting anymore. You know, it's gone. You has to feel good from the start. So the problem we have is we tend to rely too much on extrinsic motivation. Like we buy a car, after a year, we're looking at the new model, and we go, oh, gee, that looks nice. I wish I had one of those. And so you might desire the new car. And when you look at your old car, you go, you know what? It's getting a bit old. It doesn't look as good. I wish I had a newer one.
That's right. Yeah.
Right?
I'm sure that's what happens with females. Maybe not with cars, but it might happen with clothes or shoes or
And their
bags.
husbands. Well, you said shoes, bags, husbands. I just
Oh,
thought
I
it was
didn't
that
think that sort of was in the same
Yeah.
category, but I suppose you could be right there too. Okay.
So the point I'm trying to bring up is that if a lot of people are so bored in their life, they are not motivated to do anything, and they cannot act on any motivation that they have.
Well, what happens, I think, Connie, is they get a bit lazy.
Well, I was looking for that word,
Yeah.
honey. I was hoping
They
you
get
sort of
lazy.
jump in with that one.
Yeah, I think they get lazy and they just think, oh, it's too much effort. Oh, I'm not motivated. I can't. But what happens is we just become too lazy, too
And we
complacent.
wait for it to come past in
And you
front of
just wait for motivation to come and slap you, and here it is. But it's not going to come knocking on your door. You need to go and find it. You need to work on it like everything else in your life.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, people are so bored and so lazy with their life, they get caught into a rut and they just wait for it to happen. And when it doesn't happen, that's called bad luck. And they see someone else that it does happen for, and they have good luck. These people tend to have bad luck and they just can't understand what it is. So the problem you have at this point is that if you continue to reward yourself when you really don't deserve it at all. So when you have too much extrinsic motivation in your life, you go on holidays when you shouldn't. You eat foods that you know you shouldn't be eating because it doesn't look good on you because you're already overweight.
Buy things you can't afford.
Yeah, you buy things, well there you go. You buy things you can't afford. You do all those sorts of things. Well, too much extrinsic motivation, if you reward yourself too much and too often, well, this will then lead to over-justification, because once you've got something, you've had it, it doesn't give you the enjoyment that you want. So you want something else. So you need to constantly go and buy things or eat things or do things that really you can't afford to do. Consequently, you have to over-justify everything that you do. So you're looking for reasons to over-justify. Now, if you continue to do that, the further you get away from intrinsic motivation. So too much extrinsic motivation, too much reward, causes over-justification on your part. In other words, you have to talk yourself into everything. You talk yourself out of the car because it's a year old and into the new car because it looks better. Yeah. Well, that will lead to over-justification, and that's what you're doing. You need to talk yourself into it, or you'll align yourself with people that are like-minded, like you, and you become what they call partners in crime. And you tend to, rub off each other and do the things that you both like doing, which might be the wrong thing. Because if you did it with someone that didn't like doing it and it was healthy, for example, they wouldn't appreciate your company. So they're not going to have fun with you. So it's no longer the intrinsic motivation that keeps you together. It's the reward or the going out or the eating that keeps you going. You cannot sustain extrinsic motivation. You'll get it to a point and then it peaks and then it's all over Red Rover, right? So if you keep, I just want to really say this, if you keep rewarding yourself when you do not need it, right? You will begin to over-justify, okay? You sit down and eat to the point that you're full. Beyond full, you're actually sickly now, but you keep doing it, okay? If you continue to do that, you continually over-justify, and that leads to a drop in intrinsic motivation. In other words, you lose touch with your emotions, you lose touch with what it is that truly makes you feel good when you experience it. And when you're away from that for so long, you forget how to do that. So even though it might be right in front of you, you won't know how to do it. So you no longer do anything because it feels good, you do it because you think you want it, right? And that's sad because what happens, the days come and go, and before you know it, it's all over. You have no friends, the only friend becomes the packet of chips or the television screen or something else, or the latest game that you can buy, or a new model comes out in a phone, or that you just have to have, or or the latest computer, or the newest fashion, or something like that. So
we know now, basically, the different types of motivations.
And what happens if you like?
And what happens if you go too much one way or the other? So what are we saying then? What we're saying is, okay, how do we find it? There has to be a reason.
Yeah.
The reason is the crucial point where you have to find the reason for you to be motivated to, move to action.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, extrinsic motivation is like a crowd. You can do it. Yeah, you can do it. It pushes you on. When the crowd's there and all the motivation seems to be there because it's spurring on, like it's sale time, or you go and look forward to going out and eating with your friend and all that sort of stuff, it's all great until you get to that point. And when you finish it, you go, was that it?
Yes.
Yeah, so therefore you have to do it again. That's where the over-justification comes in. So you cannot sustain that. It's not until the crowd stops cheering, or the cheering stops from the crowd, when you're removing that you realize just how shallow your life has become. So this is the reality. And the reason I'm not trying to put you guys down, right? Please understand this. Until you can recognize that, exactly what I've said. I'm losing you again, honey. See? Until you can recognize that, okay? Until you can actually recognize the fact that you are losing it, right? You won't be able to do anything about it. The problem is we don't recognize it, and hence it gets away from us. Our job here today is to try and show that if you can recognize, right, really if you can recognize it and you go, look, I need to change this. I went to all this trouble to organize this, and when I got to that point, it really wasn't that good. How many people go out and they drink like crazy, right? They go out on a Friday night or a Saturday night, they overdrink. It was great while they were there because they're acting the goat, they think they're great, but if you could videotape someone who's drunk, they look like a bunch of wallies. Oh, honestly, it looks terrible. But they think they're having a good time. They're dancing. They're not dancing. It's a controlled fall. They're saying a joke. No one's laughing at the joke. They're laughing at you. And you're so intoxicated you can't even tell. And you think that's a good thing until you wake up the next day. And is that really? Did you really have fun? It's amazing what you think goes on in your head and what you see in real life are two totally separate things. So as I said, it's not until the cheering stops. It's when you come home, you wake up the next day that you realise that it was a waste of time, Sooner or later, one day, you will wake up and you will see that. The noise just hits you right in the face. Yes. And you realise, I've had enough.
Yeah.
The time has come.
And then you look within yourself, okay? You're looking to find intrinsic motivation that's going to be sustainable, that's going to make you feel great, that you're able to do every single day. And so then you won't walk around saying, look, I'm not motivated.
So what is that? What is that you're actually looking for? It is the simplest thing. It's not glorified, it's the simplest thing. It could be when I put my alarm clock on and it says wake up at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. or 11 a.m. or whatever time it is that you wake up, that when it goes off, you make the decision to yourself to get up. Not hit the snooze button.
Get up.
Like if you hit the snooze button, what does that mean?
That means you're not ready to get up.
That means you made the choice before you went to sleep that you would see how you feel in the morning, and if you don't feel like getting up,
not.
You just wouldn't.
That's right.
What's the point of setting the alarm in the first place? And the reason you don't feel like getting up is because you cut corners in areas of your life, so you're not getting enough rest and your body might not be as healthy enough. But when you do all the right things, you don't have that issue, okay? So if we look at motivation again, right, we've got, it's a reason to act. Now if you're acting, it means you know what you want. You're moving towards something, you have a goal. If you're not acting, and you can't, it means you can't identify the reason, okay? Right, what gets us to that point? Basically, when you are extrinsically motivated, if you are motivated by wealth, reward, prizes, money, trophies, or the threat of punishment, right? Like you move away from something because it's something you don't want to deal with, right? Think about that. You move away because you don't want to deal with it. Well, you are extrinsically motivated. The problem with that is you can't keep that up forever. You eventually have to let go of that. It won't work. Someone else will take you over. You will not find success in that. It is inevitable. I've yet to find anyone who does. And then what happens when you eventually hit the wall, right? Because you have so much extrinsic motivation that you reward yourself so much, and at the point when you don't deserve it, that you have to over-justify everything that you do. So you begin lying to yourself. You talk yourself into things, talk yourself out of things to get what you think you want. And at the end of it, what that does, it erodes away your intrinsic motivation, what's inside you, the thing that truly makes you feel good. And you no longer recognize that. And it's not until one day when you wake up and you realize you've lost everything. It's a sad day. And depression sets in. It's at that time that you might do one of two things. Either suffocate the old person, suffocate the old ways, and regrow, reborn, rebirth the new person. Go to sleep, wake up tomorrow, and be the different person. Be the person that you truly want to be. And you'll do that by looking inside for the simplest reason, the simplest thing that you can do. Get up in the morning and do not hit the snooze button. That's all you've got to do tomorrow. And the next day, when you go to bed, you can already do that. Add one more thing. And before you know it, you now have a reason to act. And that moves on, because what you'll find, you'll start doing more and more things.
It's little steps, but it will get you to the success that you really want to achieve. Definitely.
Yeah. So you need to look from within to find the simplest reason to move forward. Don't overcomplicate it, guys. Don't over-justify it. Don't do the things that you did before. Just keep it simple. It's the simplest thing, right? And look for what truly makes you happy. Do something good for someone else.
You can't do it for other people though. That's the
Yeah.
We were talking about extrinsic, but a lot of the times people do things because their partner wants them to do it, or their family, or their friends. You have to do what makes you happy, and then you'll be highly motivated, trust me. But if you're doing things to please everyone else, then you're not going to be truly happy.
Yeah. So look, I hope you understand what that means. I mean, if you have any questions, please feel free to send us a comment, and we'll try and answer it as best we can. And hopefully you make sense of that. If not, go back one video back. And you'll be able to click on it on the screen. It'll tell you to go back to the previous one, or just go to our website, and they're very easy to find on the actual website under the ConikiTV show, and hopefully the answers will come to you, right? But that is how you become motivated. You just look within, start off with the simplest thing, and move on. Watch the video again, press pause every so often, rewind, listen to our words, and hopefully it'll help you. Remember, your time might not be now. You just need more pain. After a while, you'll experience so much pain that you'll be sick and tired of where you are, and it's easy to move away from pain, because that's one of the traits of extrinsic motivation. So it's inevitable, even though you might be extrinsically motivated now, it's only a matter of time before it will knock you down and move you into intrinsic motivation. It happens to everyone. So you will win. So that's the upside of it. Okay, I suppose that's it.
Yes.
What are we going to talk about next week?
Ooh, hot topic.
Well, do we have anything?
Well, maybe our viewers might come up with a suggestion.
No, we have something. But you're going to have to wait till next week to find that one out. Because this one's a touchy subject, right? So it's okay. So anyway, I'm Con.
I'm Nikki.
Yeah, thanks for watching. I think episode 9, I think it is it?
Yeah, something
episode
like
9
that,
of the ConikiTV show. And we'll see you again Same time, same place next week.
All right, see you guys.
Bye
Bye.
bye.